Hello and welcome to Dice Till Dawn. My name is Timo and this is my year 2015 in review and my top 10 of the 2015. I will do this in two parts. First of all, I'll talk a little bit about my gaming year and what I've played, and a little bit about my New Year's resolution last year. I might have mentioned in some of my videos. And in the second part, I will do my top 10 of the year. So if you don't want to hear about my New Year's resolution or the year in gaming, you can just check below for the timestamp for the top 10 and you can skip there. But if not, then please stick around for a while because I wanted to just say this. Actually, I already recorded this video once, so sorry for the late time. It's already 12th of January, but there were some like focus issues and something, so I just wanted to do this again. And this time I'm actually going to show you the games from my top 10. Okay, anyway, so last year, so 2014 New Year, I wanted to do a little bit of New Year's resolution. Nothing serious, so I've never usually done these, and this one wasn't in a serious sense either, so that I must do this, but it was just to give me some ideas and perspective on things. And my resolution was to play all of the games in my collection during the year, and I got pretty far about it. I think I lost only 12 games that I didn't play, 10 to 12 or something like that. And in total, I logged my games in BGG, and I really like doing this because, again, I like statistics and things, but also it helps me to see what games are being played and which aren't, and or maybe help me in the future start selling or auctioning of my games or stuff like that. But anyway, and also to find the hidden gems that might be in my collection that I haven't played in years, or then again see that these old games really aren't that good. So I played a total of 166 different games last year, so not bad, I guess, almost a new game every 2 days. And a total of 998 games, so two more games and it would have hit the 1,000 mark. Of course, there are card games, so 150 games of Android Netrunner, for example, and Legendary Encounter, stuff like that. But I've also played 27 games of Mage Knight and stuff like that. But the top 10 is like Netrunner, Legendary Encounters, Alien, Magic the Gathering, Friday, Field Commander, Napoleon, Lewis and Clark, Mage Knight the board game, Legendary Predator, and Pandemic Legacy, and No Thanks, Nations to Dice game. Those are 11 of the most played this year. And anyway, so my resolution, as you have probably seen in my videos, there are these white tags in some of my games, still are, and that means just that when I was getting nearer to the end, I started to labeling those games so that I can easily see them from the shelf that wasn't played this year and maybe grab that one. There are still some left, as you can see. I didn't bother taking them off and see when I will actually get to play them. But anyway, in short, I found few gems. I found something that I don't like. For example, Monopoly, I again played it and again saw how awful of a game it is, and many others are the old games. But I also found again Modern Art after like 4 or 5 years of not playing that game. I knew I like it, but once I played it again this year, I just noticed how much I really love that game. And maybe Kingdom Builder, again, still don't really like that game that much, and some others. So there are always these. So if you have a collection or some games you haven't played in years, do something like this. Just pick a date and take one of the games you haven't played in a big long time and see if you'll still like it. If you don't, I think it's time to let that go. Or if you do like it, you'll notice that, okay, I still have this great game on my shelf also. But yeah, that's a pretty quick rant about this, but I just wanted to get this out there because I really enjoyed this New Year's resolution. So if you feel like something like this, you might still get time to do this year. But okay, so that was it for the new year, my year in gaming, and next we'll go on to the top 10 of the year. So see you there. Okay, and it's time for the top 10 of 2015, for me at least. Keep in mind, I obviously haven't played all of the games of 2015, not even close. All of these games are the games that I actually own, so I don't get to try all the things that people send me because they don't send me anything and stuff like that. So this is a narrower list than some of the big guys there, I guess. But this is my opinion, and of course there are a few games I really like to play. For example, Blood Rage. One of my friends actually got it for Christmas, so I might get to try that soon, but I haven't played it, so it's not here. And Time Stories is one I'm interested in, and it's just to name a few, so those won't be here in the list. And also I live in Finland again, and some of these games might have actually come out 2014, but they haven't been available here, so I'm counting them here. And also I just had to disqualify 2 entries that I basically got this year because they are that old. So Legendary Alien would have been on the list almost because I got it in January, but again it was released August or something, so I disqualified that one. And also I got Dead of Winter last New Year's Eve 14 I mean, so I almost grabbed it here, but I thought maybe not, so those are also out. But let's start. So number 10 is Xenoshift Onslaught. This is a cool like Starship Troopers deck builder, which based tower defense, I guess, if you know those games, and a deck building aspect. But it's not really just a deck builder. It's more of a cooperative, like tactical game. No minis or anything, although it's from Cool Mini or not. It's great. It really emphasizes the cooperative aspect. You really have to work together to succeed in this game. And there are cool abilities, and the divisions are cool and different, and all of the enemies are horrible. But I have one problem with it, I guess. It's a bit too easy. I'm not sure why or how, but I've read the rules many times, so I should be doing everything right. But at least in the 2 or 3 player counts, I've never lost a game except one solo game, the first solo game I ever played. And we even won the 3 player game by going down to like 27 life or something like that, starting at that level. The normal would be 45 life points. So I don't know what it is, but we just the games took a long time for us because we were really planning our moves. It was the first 3 player game was like 3 hours. I don't know how it was that long, 3-4 hours maybe. And even the 2 player games have been clocking in at 90 to 120 minutes or stuff like that. But yeah, I just enjoy the puzzly aspect of it, I guess. But again, I would really like more difficulty in it. And the bad thing is that you can up the difficulty by lowering the hit points, but you can't do that indefinitely because there are cards that just say take 2 or 3 base damage, and if there are enough of those that you can't always control them. So there's no sense in going down to like 5 hit points to your base, because then you just lose to an unlucky draw of 2 or 3 cards. So you can't use just that to up the difficulty. But when I play alone or 2 player, I still use both of the bosses always in the deck and stuff like that. And I'm thinking of buying the expansions just to maybe get more enemies and more stuff there, because I really like the base of it. But anyway, so that was a long rant, so I really like it and would love to like it more, but so far it's not the best there. Okay, but number 9. XCOM, the board game. XCOM is one of my favorite like computer games of all time. The new ones also, I played the old ones also a lot, and the new ones are just awesome. The XCOM 2 is coming out this February. I'm really looking forward to that. But this game is one of the first games that uses an app and uses it to great effect. I have an iPad, so I'm usually the guy with the app. And again, a highly cooperative game. You really have to work together and do smart decisions in the game, because there's a timed aspect, but I generally don't like timed aspects, but in this it is done just brilliantly, because the first phase is timed, and in that phase you have to do these quick decisions. The decisions themselves are easy, but the time makes them hard. And after that you go to the resolution phase, where you just roll your die. There's no like timed rush there, but you still have that feeling carry on of inevitable like danger or stuff like that. So it's great. As I said, I generally don't like time in games, in board games, but in this it just works brilliantly to create this very tense atmosphere, and it's very hard, especially the first few games you will probably lose. We actually even lost the tutorial in our first game, but we have now beaten, I think, the normal level at least. I'm not sure about the hard, I don't think we have won that yet, but I really enjoy it. There are some things, it's pretty, like, some of the roles aren't as fun. I still haven't played all of the roles myself, but it's basically a 4-player game, because it works and all player counts, I guess. I haven't tried it solo, but in a 2-player game both have 2, and in a 3-player game some has to control 2 characters, stuff like that. So it's kind of annoying in a sense. I've played mostly 3-player of it actually, and I've also always been the one that controls 2 guys, and that's a lot of upkeep, especially in the end when you have a lot of abilities. It's almost impossible to make informed good decisions with so many things going on, especially when I also have the app. So some negative things, because I think it's kind of a 4-player game, but at its best in a good group with 4 players it's an absolute blast, and you can really get a much play out of it, because you can switch the characters around and they all have a different ability and different things they do, so it's very asymmetrical that way, and again hard, so that's great. XCOM the board game. And number 8, Spectrals. This is the Emerson Matsuuchi's hidden movement Ameritrash way. Kind of a mishmash of Fury of Dracula and Letters from Whitechapel, and I think I really enjoy this. No, I don't think I like it more than Letters from Whitechapel, but almost. The good thing here is that it's very easy to set up. It's quick and light, and it's, well, not light, but it feels kind of light, and also the fact that it's very different at different player counts. The 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, 5-player games are all very different. Well, 2 and 3 are pretty close to the same, but all the others feel very different. Although I still haven't yet to try the 5-player game, sadly. But the 4-player game, when you don't see the objectives, really gives it a different feeling and more abilities for the agent and stuff like that. But basically, you try to complete. One of you is the agent who tries to complete 3 objectives and escape from the board, while the others are trying to hunt him down and kill him. And this isn't, in a sense, like Whitechapel, that you will actually lose if they find you. They actually have to hit you 3, 4, 5, 6 times depending on the character and a few things. So it isn't over if they find you, as it is usually in Whitechapel, for example. So cool fun. Spectrals. Okay, number 7. A small card game. Deck Builder Valley of the Kings Afterlife. I've been looking for the first game. This is actually the second, like, almost expansion, but this is a standalone game. You can combine the two, but I haven't found the first version in Finland, and this came out and I immediately grabbed a copy, and it really delivered what I wanted it to deliver, and I really like it. Basically a cool mini deck builder which only has a deck of cards here, nothing else. With cool art, kind of a Egyptian feeling there. Not great art, I guess, but they do convey this feeling of the artifacts and stuff like that. But the twist here is that the more cards you get to your deck in a deck builder fashion, they have cool abilities. But you also have a tomb, as in the Valley of the Kings, and you only score at the end. You only score the cards you have actually entombed. So you have to always decide, do I still want to keep using this great card which has a great effect, or is it time to now enchant it so I can actually get the points from it in the end. There's also set collection, you want these different sets of weapons or jewelry or stuff like that, and you always have to balance this. How long do I keep using this card, or do I discard it? Because in the end, your hand, discard pile, and deck, they are useless. Even if you had all of the sets totally completed there, but they weren't entombed, they are worthless to you. So there's this great balance of when to do things and when to entomb things, and the abilities are easy to combo and they work great. So I can highly recommend Valley of the Kings Afterlife. It's pretty cheap and easy to play, works great at 2 and 3 players. Haven't tried 4 players, I think it might be pushing the card count a bit, but it's great in 2 and 3 at least. I've played a lot of 2 and 3 player games. There are also solo rules here, which I've tried, but they seemed extremely easy. Fine idea, but at least for me they seemed too easy to make a fun game out of. But maybe you could tweak them a bit. But Valley of the Kings Afterlife. Okay, and one more before we hit a pause. And number 6 is Roll for the Galaxy. Again, I think this is one of the games that was released in a few copies at least in 2014, but only got this myself only 2 months ago or so. So basically I like or love Race for the Galaxy, and I was doubting on getting this for a long time because I just thought about it and felt like, is it really worth it? Because I like Race for the Galaxy a lot, and is it just more of the same? But yeah, it is, but it isn't. The dice and the ability to manipulate them, and the pulling of the tiles which are double-sided, and just all of these things really work to give the same vibe of feeling as Race for the Galaxy, but a totally different game in other sense. So they don't I don't think you can replace one with the other. Of course, if you don't like the other, then obviously, but I do like them both a lot, and I played about 12 games or so of this now, and we'll see where it lands in the end, but so far it's pretty close to Race. But that's Roll for the Galaxy. Okay, so that was the first 5. Now I'll do a quick pause and we'll go on with the final 5. Okay, welcome back to the top 5 of 2015, and we'll kick off with number 5, Early On. And this is just a cool deck builder, pool builder kind of game with worker placement and Euro aspects and all kinds of things. Looks very complicated, and it's not easy actually, but it's not very hard either. But you have these small round tiles. You get a certain amount of them in the beginning, and by taking these actions on the board, on your own board, you can then recruit more of these workers from the center table, and they go to your back, and you get to draw a certain number of them depending on where you are on this track. And then you can actually retire them to help the community, for example building a cathedral, stuff like that, and you get points for that or stuff like that. And this is also a way to thin your pool of workers to work for the avenue you want to use. And then there's also a map which has a lot of these commodities you can actually get by traveling around the map, again using actions on your board to travel your one worker on the map. And again, all of these commodities are worth points, or they can be used in case of the events during the turns. And there are very many different things to do. You can focus on the traveling aspect, you can focus on retiring your workers and getting points and things there. You can focus on building these buildings, special buildings which give you special abilities you can then use each turn. Or you can focus on eliminating some of the workers from your pool and just focusing on a few things, or you can try doing a bit of all, and all of these I think are valid options. So I highly enjoy Early On. Okay, so number 4, another heavy Euro, that's Alchemists. this is just as soon as I saw the run through by Rado, I've been drooling over this game, and finally, I think February or so, I just kept searching for it in our Lautapelit store, and suddenly I just saw that it's now available, and I immediately hit the order button and haven't regretted that decision a bit. Very heavy and gorgeous artwork, and uses an app to convey this feeling of science. You are actually trying to decipher what like makes up a frog, for example, the base elements of that. By you do this by combining all of these two elements and making a potion of this. And now you scan them with your phone, and you see what kind of potion that makes. And then you can start eliminating the possible combinations of the three colors and all the sizes of the like plus or minus stuff like that. And it's basically a deduction game. In the end, if you have done enough of these experiments, you can then decipher that this frog, for example, must consist of this big blue circle with a plus and small green with a minus and stuff like that. And then you have to publish your findings, because you are obviously a scientist and you get points for that, but the game also pushes you to do that before you can actually do it for sure. So if you don't do it, you start losing points because you are not interesting to the community. But again, if you make wrong assumptions, you get also you lose all fame also, because you are not a good scientist. And there are great decisions. You can also use these artifacts, which are immensely powerful, and you can actually play the game more based on them and try to saddle on the other players' decisions and use their deductions to your advantage if you want. There are very many possibilities here, and it's very challenging but also very rewarding, and the artwork again is just great. I can highly recommend Alchemists. Okay, so up to the top 3. And number 3 is Nations the Dice game. I just did a full playthrough of this and did some final thoughts there. I don't know why I like this game so much. It's basically very simple. Roll your dice and see what happens. The tiles are not special in a sense. You just get a few other dice to your pool and try to get these other combinations in a kind of a Yahtzee fashion. But I think it's just that it's quick, fun, light, and it has a cool theme, and it just is like fun to play. I'm not looking for big strategic depth here or anything like that. I'm not saying this is just a luck game, but I can totally understand that there are many small problems here. For example, the tiles and the civilizations in the beginning are the same, and it doesn't matter what you cover with the tiles, and there are many problems, but all of these are, in my opinion, forgotten by the fact that it plays in 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and you get to roll these cool dice and get more of them immediately, and you can build the pyramids or the Stonehenge and get your leaders like the Sanju or stuff like that, and get some long ships or elephants to fight for you and all these things. Just highly recommend and enjoy Nations. Even the solo game is fun, you saw in the playthrough. Again, it's more about the experience of playing the game. The high score system is not really that interesting, and the AI isn't really interesting either in the solo game, but it's just great fun to try to beat your score maybe, and especially just to play the game. Okay, so up to the top 2. And number 2 is Pandemic Legacy. I've actually started playing a second playthrough now with my friend and his girlfriend and my girlfriend, and we are about halfway through, not quite, but almost halfway through, and I'm still enjoying it a lot. Of course, I have to be careful on what I'm saying about things and stuff like that, but it's surprisingly fun, even though I've already played it once. And it's a very different group. The first group was more like gamer group, and this group is more like the relaxed family type of group. Yeah, okay, my friend is totally a gamer and my girlfriend does play a lot of games also, but still the dynamic is pretty different. The first one was very like strategic thinking. This is more like let's go by the seat of our pants or stuff like that. But again, check my final thoughts if you want to hear more about it, but it's a great game. But it's only number 2 because there's one game that's just better, I think, and one that I totally love. And it's from my favorite designer duo, Daniele Tascini and Simone Luciani, and that is Witches of Marco Polo. And again, a heavy, or not heavy, medium heavy Euro game with die rolling, die placement, I guess. They are your workers, and has a lot of tough decisions, and you can't do everything you want, and all of but still you always can do something fun. And this is the balance of you have to find which is the best thing to do in this case. And do you focus on the traveling aspect more, which is very hard and very expensive, or do you try to do these contracts which give you a lot of points but you have to use a lot of actions to get the resources, or do you try to do a combination of them? But again, the best part are the insanely cool special abilities of the characters, and you really have to exploit their powers to do well. And they are mostly balanced, I think. Of course, if you played 100 games with each, you could maybe see that this one wins a bit more and this one a little bit less, but all in all I think they are pretty balanced, especially because all of them are basically fun. Almost all of them, at least. In a two-player game, some of them lose a bit, but mostly they are great. And two-player game, again, in other sense, it's great. There's only like one character that I will never use in a two-player game, but other than that, it's just fun at all player counts. Although I haven't played at 4, I played 2 and 3, and just awesome in a box. Always fun, always fast. That's the weird part. It feels like you have been through a heavy Euro game. The feeling is almost like that, but still our two-player game lasts like 50 minutes, 45-50 minutes or something like that. And it's just so weird because I genuinely feel like I've just played a two-hour Euro game or stuff like that after the game, but then I look at the clock and see that less than an hour had gone by or stuff, something like that. And it was even in our almost first game, so it's not just that we have played this so much that it's so fast now. It's almost our second, third game, and the two-player game was already maybe 50 minutes or so. Okay, but that was my top 10 of 2015. Hope you liked it, and please give me feedback and more ideas for this new year, and we'll see what I can cook up this year when I kick off the next or second year of Dice Till Dawn, I guess. But see you next time. Goodbye.